All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys, Iain Valliere. Let's talk a little bit about the physique update that Iain posted, showing off his legs, specifically his quads, and he's got the caption, dropping trow. Now, we got to give Iain some props here. I think Iain has looked very impressive in a lot of the updates that he's posted lately, but this one in particular, I think, caught a lot of people's attention, as I had a lot of people sending this one to me, saying how impressive Iain looks. And Iain is getting ready for the Tampa Pro, which I believe we're 8 or 9 weeks away from. It's August 6th through the 7th, which I believe is exactly 1 week after the Chicago Pro. So the Chicago Pro is going to be an interesting one. You guys know Akeem is in that lineup. You know Sergio Jr.'s in that lineup. Hunter's in that lineup. Charles Griffin's in that lineup. And as we get to that point of July, late July, early August, you're getting really close to the cutoff for Olympia qualification. So anybody that's not winning these shows is probably doing the next show to either win that show or get more points to qualify on points. So right now, I'm looking at Tampa as possibly being the most competitive show. It's got a chance of being the most competitive show before the Olympia, aside from the Arnold Classic US. And here's why I say that. Imagine Akeem doesn't win Chicago, and whoever else doesn't win Chicago would probably go to Tampa as well. But Akeem and Iain are the two best Olympians right now that are not qualified for the Olympia. Akeem was first call out. He was top 6 at the Olympia 2020. Iain Valliere, just one placing away. He was 7th place, not only top 10, but he was just outside of the top 6 at the Olympia. They're the two best guys that aren't qualified right now. I guess aside from Rolly Winkler, on paper, they're the two best guys. Rolly didn't compete in 2020, obviously, but on paper, Akeem and Iain are the two best. So imagine Akeem doesn't win Chicago. You get Akeem and Iain both in Tampa. You get whoever else didn't win Chicago in Tampa. You could potentially get Hassan Mustafa in Tampa. So anyway, the point that I'm getting at is while Chicago is shaping up to be a really good lineup, I think what you could see happen is a week later in Tampa, I think that show could shape up to be a fantastic lineup as well. And you might also get the Hunter versus Iain rematch in Tampa. So obviously, Hunter Labrada beat Iain Valliere at last year's Tampa Pro, but then at the Olympia, Iain beat Hunter. So Hunter was 8th, Iain was 7th. So you might have that rematch in Tampa as well. So just to keep your guys' eyes and ears open, Tampa Pro I think is going to be one to look out for. Chicago as well. Those are two of the really, probably the biggest shows that are coming up that we should really be paying attention to. I think those lineups are going to be something special and really good rivalries, I hope. So the next story that I have for you guys today, speaking of Hassan Mustafa, Hassan has had a couple shows that had not gone his way. He didn't look the way that he wanted. He didn't nail the conditioning. He didn't place where he wanted. And, of course, he did not qualify for the Olympia. Now, he's also said on Instagram that he will not stop until he qualifies for the Olympia. And one of my fans that translated one of his recent Instagram lives said that he said in that live that the next show that he's looking at is the Puerto Rico Pro, and if he can't get his visa to Puerto Rico, he's going to do the Chicago Pro, which certainly makes that show even more competitive. So it looks like there is a relatively decent chance that we could see Hassan go to Chicago as well. So like I said, those two shows, Chicago and Tampa, towards the end of July and early August, those shows are going to be shaping up to be a really competitive lineup. And I'm really fascinated what the final version of that lineup is going to look like. Now, speaking of both those shows, you've got an update from Hunter Labrada. Hunter, we know, is prepping for Chicago. I would imagine if he does not win Chicago, he's going to go to Tampa as well, which he won last year. Like I said before, he was 8th place at the Olympia this year, so he was a top 10 contender. He posted a physique update, a front double bicep pose that his dad took of him, and the caption says, "This was the old bodybuilder from the gym's favorite one yesterday," referring to his dad. Hunter looking very impressive as well, less than 2 months away from that Chicago Pro. Like I said, that lineup is shaping up to be fantastic. All these guys, the updates that they've posted, they look really good, and it's going to be kind of cool to see Hunter go up against not only Iain again if he does do Tampa, but to go up against Sergio Jr. Keep in mind, they are both legacy pro bodybuilders, meaning their dad was an IFBB pro before them. Lee Labrada was a pro before Hunter, obviously, and of course Sergio Oliva Jr., his dad, Sergio Oliva Sr., a Mr. Olympia champ. I think it'll be really cool to see Sergio and Hunter on stage in Chicago. So these shows have a lot of interesting dynamics to these lineups that I think are going to make them very exciting shows for us, the fans, to watch and talk about and speculate on. And speaking of which, that's a good segue there. Now a word from our sponsors. over at Labrada Nutrition. Now, next up in the news, I wanted to showcase some physique updates from Guy Cisternino. Guy has been in the news a little bit lately for maybe the wrong reasons. The video of him raging on those guys in the gym, and they eventually squashed the beef, I believe. But a lot of people have been talking about Guy these past couple weeks because of that viral video of him training and losing his mind on those guys. But he recently posted some physique updates. And the reason why I felt this was relevant to this video is because he says he's planning on competing in the summer, June, July, or August. And July or August pretty much looks like Tampa or Chicago. So Guy posting here a most muscular, a side chest, a side tricep, and abs and thighs, showing off the shape that he's in. And I think based on this condition, I think he's probably looking more at a show in July or August than he would be a show in June. But I think he does look very impressive. And another reason why I think this is interesting is remember last year when Keone Pearson passed up the opportunity to go to the Olympia, Guy Cisternino, who was on the same team as Keone at the time, Blackstone Labs, was extremely critical of Keone's decision not to compete at the Olympia after qualifying at the Chicago Pro last year in 212. Now, if Guy competes in July at the same show as Keone, the same category in Chicago, that would be an interesting rivalry. Keone versus Guy Cisternino in Chicago in 212 for the Olympia qualification. I don't think there was ever any real bad blood or any real beef between Keone and Guy, but I know that Guy was critical of Keone choosing to pass up that opportunity. I don't think, like I said, I don't think it was anything too serious, but that I think to me that would be an interesting rivalry, Keone versus Guy in 212. And you guys know where I stand on that. I think Keone is going to get that qualification in Chicago. As long as he nails his conditioning, I think Keone's going to the Olympia. I guess you guys can let me know what you guys think on that in the comment section below. Are you Team Keone or Team Guy? If they went head-to-head, who do you think would win? Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, Eddie Hall claps back at Larry Wheels and Hafthor Bjornsson. So Larry and Thor both posted the same picture that I showed you guys in the last video. This was a little bit of a graphic art created by Tyrannosaurus on Instagram. And it was basically a picture of Hafthor in Game of Thrones mode holding Eddie's head, Eddie's severed head. After Larry had made the comment in a previous video, I want to see you take Eddie's head off. So this is Eddie's response on that post on Larry Wheels' page. He says, very sportsmanlike, Larry. I guess you and Thor clearly have the same attributes. Do you fancy a $10,000 bet on who wins? Now, in addition to that cheeky comment from Eddie Hall, Eddie also posted his own little fan art edited picture on his story with some beautiful artwork on Hafthor Bjornsson's forehead on the poster for the fight. I thought that was kind of funny. And by the way, I'm looking at this poster for the first time. I didn't know Steffi Keone was fighting in this event. I had no idea. This is the first time I'm seeing that. And if I'm not mistaken, this event has been moved from Vegas to Florida. And apparently the date on this poster says September 18th. I don't know if that's finalized or not, but my understanding is the event has been moved and it's not going to be in Vegas. And then one last response that I saw from Eddie Hall. He says, great artwork from Thor and also great to see his professionalism and sportsmanlike behavior has transferred over from strongman into boxing. I've never felt so confident over an upcoming fight in my life, so stuff like this just makes me laugh. I'll be sleeping like a baby after what I just saw this weekend, and that deluded numbnuts hasn't a clue what's coming. Sleep tight. Big love, Team Beast. So there you guys have it. There is no love lost between Eddie Hall, Hafthor Bjornsson, and apparently Larry Wheels. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think there's real bad blood here? But more importantly, give me those predictions. Are you Team Eddie Hall or are you Team Hafthor Bjornsson? And tell me why or why not. Do you think the post was tasteless? Do you think it was all in good fun? Do you think it made more publicity for the event? Let me know down below. Smash that thumbs up button. Get this video out there into the algorithm. Every thumbs up helps out a lot. Try to get it to 10,000. That's always the goal. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.